Well, I got me one of those fancy schmancy blood glucose monitors that you get to plug into your arm. What's shakin' bacon? My name's Bruno Panucci. I've been doing this carnivore diet for about 14 months straight. I've been eating this way on and off for years. Now it's corrected a bunch of my health problems that I've had. Everything from blood sugar to blood pressure to heart rate to waistline to my weight to my lean mass and body fat percentage starting to self-correct, to all sorts of problems I had with gout, metabolic syndrome, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. Those are just some of the issues I've had. Now, that's a lot. But one of the things that the carnivore diet does is it manages your blood sugar really well. Before we get into the blood glucose monitor, I want to give a bit of an update on what I'm doing. So this month for February, I've been doing a salt-free month, and it started off okay. On day 5, I cheated and I had some salt. I had wings and there was salt on the wings, and I was very consistent for the next 2 weeks afterwards. And I gotta say, in the next 2 weeks afterwards, I didn't notice a difference not having salt, probably because I made sure to be on the lion diet for the whole month, and I've been sticking to red meat other than that one day I had the chicken wings. And so what happened was, I think there's enough salt in the amount of meat that I'm eating that I didn't really notice a difference, other than maybe being a little bit more tired and getting a bit of little eye gunk. But aside from that, I didn't notice a difference. So on Monday, it was a holiday Monday, I decided to have some bacon. And honestly, I don't feel like I gave in. I don't feel like I did like a treat for myself. I honestly thought this was less of a challenge or goal and more of just something to try, something to see if I would notice a difference in anything in my lifestyle. And I honestly didn't notice anything. In 2 solid weeks, well, really 3 solid weeks, with only 1 cheat in there, I didn't notice a difference at all. It made virtually no impact. So when it came to having some bacon on Monday, it was a couple days ago, I didn't really care. You know, I thought, well, there's only a few days left in the month, and quite honestly, I'm not noticing anything with this, so why not? So a bunch of bacon it was. I cooked it at my brother's lake house, and we did it on his griddle, looking out. It was a Blackstone griddle, and we did it looking out over the lake. It was really nice. Had a good time. I'm probably gonna lay off salt for the rest of the month. I honestly don't care at this point, to tell you the truth. I didn't notice anything, not even substantial, not really much minor in any way, shape, or form. So that's my update for this month. So I've still been doing strict carnivore all this time. I just laid off the salt quite a bit. And that being said, I have a lot of salt typically in my food. When I have a steak, I love lots of salt on my steak. I mean a lot of salt, probably triple or quadruple what most people would put on their steak. I love when that salt mixes with the gristle and the fat. Oh, it's great. But honestly, when it came to ground beef, I could care less if I have it without salt. I got really used to it really fast, and it didn't have an impact on the amount of food I was eating because salt makes your food more palatable. And I was wondering if it was gonna make a difference on how much volume I eat in a day. And it didn't. I still had just as much meat one way or the other. But as far as my blood glucose monitor, I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. Kelly Hogan did this a lot. I think it was in the summer of 2021 or spring of 2021. And, you know, being a longtime carnivore and having a couple, you know, meals a day that she typically has, her blood sugar was pretty even all day long. Now, I'm still a big guy and my blood sugar is going to fluctuate, but I did want to see how my blood sugar was responding to the amount of meals I was eating, because sometimes I could have anywhere between 2 to 3 or 4 pounds of meat, sometimes even 5. If I have a really lean cut of meat, I mean really lean, like a beef tenderloin, I can have that and I can easily have 4 to 5 pounds of meat just with that type of cut in one sitting. Now, that being said, if I have ground beef, lean ground beef, I can't have more than 2 pounds and then I'm stuffed. If I have regular ground beef, a pound, maybe a pound and a half. And you know, that's maybe not much bigger than the size of your fist, right? So, or my fist anyway, I'm a big guy. I thought it would be interesting to see if it had any impact on how much I was going to eat, if it made any difference whatsoever. did nothing. I got this blood glucose monitor, and on Monday when I was at my brother's lake house, we ended up trying it out, and I plugged it into my arm, had to wait about an hour, and honestly just went to my local pharmacy and bought it. You know, I think it was $80 for the machine, and it's $120 for a sensor that plugs into the back of your arm, something about the size of a silver dollar, and it's good for about 2 weeks, and then you have to replace that. So for the next month, I'm gonna be trying this out, month at least, because I'm really curious. It's something I'm gonna make part of my goal for next month, is I'm gonna see how multiple small meals a day affect my blood sugar versus my 1 or 2 big meals a day I have now. So I'll probably stick with roughly the same amount of food, anywhere between 3 and 5 pounds a day, and I'm gonna see how that affects my blood sugar. Now, I've already been using this for a few days, and I'm in a very safe zone with my blood sugar, and that's good. Even when I have a lot to eat, I haven't gone into a dangerous range with my blood sugar. So I expected that, because my blood sugar gets really stable whenever I do this. My fasting blood sugar is 5.1, and I knew it wouldn't be out. I was pre-diabetic years ago. My doctor told me when I had my physical 3 months before my heart attack, he said that, yeah, he said, you're approaching diabetes, you're pre-diabetic right now, so you're gonna wanna get that under control. And I was like, oh, okay. It didn't do anything to really get it under control at the time. But nonetheless, we're here now. I'm interested in seeing how my blood sugar responds when I eat, when I exercise, when I do this or that. Now, my exercise has been pretty light this month. I'm not doing a big weight routine. Next month, I'm gonna see how it responds to 5 or 6 small meals a day, where when you have 5 or 6 small meals a day, your blood sugar doesn't really get a chance to spike, especially if you're not having any carbohydrates in your meals. So my blood sugar is probably gonna be pretty even keel all through the day. Right now, it's probably what I just showed you. It might be a little more like this, versus someone who's on a standard American diet. It's up and down all day long. And I'm not worried about that happening to me. So I've been using this straight for 3 solid days now, and I'm pretty happy with the results. I take my phone, or I take this little machine, and I turn it on, and then I scan the sensor to my arm. There we go, and it beeped. And right now my blood sugar is 4.4. If anything, it's getting to the point where it's a little low. I did notice when I first tried this out, my blood sugar was a little on the low side. It went down to the high 3s. So let's go over some of the ranges when it comes to your blood sugar, what it's supposed to be. And we'll see roughly where I am. A simple Google search will show us what our blood sugar level should be at when we're adults. A blood sugar level less than 140 milligrams per deciliter, or 7.8 millimoles per liter, is normal. I'm in that range. A reading of more than 200 milligrams per deciliter, or 11.1 millimoles per liter, after 2 hours indicates diabetes. So the most my blood sugar went up was the low 6s. So I'm good there as well. A reading between 140 and 199 milligrams per deciliter, 7.8 millimoles per liter, and 11 millimoles per liter indicate prediabetes. Not an issue for me either, because I'm pretty steady between roughly 4.3, and even after I eat, usually about 6.1 or something like that. So I'm in a pretty safe zone. I'm not too concerned about my blood sugar. That's not the reason why I got this, but I am curious about it, and I like to look at numbers. I like to have an idea of where I am, and more importantly, how I can tweak these numbers for better weight loss. So if I'm having 2 meals a day, and I'm having huge insulin spikes with these meals, that might not be good, because even though I'm having just meat and fat, I'm still gonna have an insulin spike. Even though the fat barely affects your insulin, protein does. And both of those don't compare to what carbohydrates and sugar do, but when you're having 2 or 3 pounds of meat in one sitting, you're still gonna have a sugar spike, and that's still gonna give you an insulin spike. So I wanna see what happens with that type of eating, and I'm gonna have probably about a week of this under my belt before I switch over to a zero carb multiple meals a day versus a zero carb 1 or 2 big meals a day. So having 6 small meals a day, I'm interested to see if I have lower blood sugar levels all through the day, which should mean I'm gonna have lower insulin releases through the day, which should also mean that I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to be doing a bod pod exam early in the month because I want this as a starting point, because I haven't been doing much weight resistance exercises the last 2 months. I've been doing exercises, but not much in the way of heavy weight resistance like I was the last 4 months of last year. Managing my blood sugar is obviously going to manage my insulin. And I still think I have some metabolism damage from before, that my insulin still reacts very strongly. I want to see how this works and how my body reacts. And if I can tweak this, and instead of just slowly losing weight, I mean, I could eat less to lose more weight fast, but I want to stay full as I lose this weight. And it's working out to slowly slow down a little bit. And I don't mind that it's going slow, but I still want to see if I can tweak it for better results. Now, I am going to commit one way or the other to 1 solid month of doing it that way. So I'm not going to deviate from that at all in March with multiple small meals. But I may decide to keep it up into April. I may not. We'll see how that goes. I think this is going to be a fun challenge. I hope you tune in and follow along. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk later.